Good afternoon, everyone. Before we start our lesson for today's session, let us pray first. For Christians, please do your prayer, and for Muslims, let us do our prayer, both with our own pace. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuhu. I am Nurhana Dalinding. I am the reporter for today's lesson. So, without further ado, let us start. For today's lesson, I will be discussing and explaining a word problem named investment problem. In this topic, we have key points or names to remember because they serve as an important factor alongside our discussion. First, the investment. The action or process of investing money for profit or material result, according to Oxford Languages. Ibig sabihin, ito yung ginagawa nating pagtatago or pag-invest ng pera sa iba't ibang field ng investments. Sa mga businessman or businesswoman, nag-i-invest sila ng pera sa isang trusted company, bangko, investment yielding o ng iba pa. Sa atin naman, tayong mga estudyante or yung mga parents, relatives, etc., nag-i-invest tayo ng pera kadalasan sa mga pinapatayo nating stores or anything na nag-aalaw ng investments. By this act, the goal is to gain profit from your invested money para tumubo pa ng tumubo. Second, the interest. There are two different definitions for the interest. One for the investor and one for the lender, yung nagbibigay o nagpa-invest. First, interest is the monetary charge for the privilege of borrowing money, typically expressed as an annual percentage rate. Ibig sabihin, ang interest, ito yung tubo ng ininvest mong pera. Ito yung pera na nadagdag sa perang ininvest mo. For instance, nag-invest ako ng 10,000 pesos sa isang company. Then after 1 year, naging 10,500 yung pera ko. Therefore, yung 500 na sobra sa pera ko ay yun yung interest na tinatawag. Or let's say, utang or hiram. You borrowed money to your friend that is worth of 1,000, but you pay back 1,500. Yung 500 pesos na yon ang interest ng pera na hiniram mo. Next, the interest is the amount of money a lender or financial institution receives for lending out money by Investopedia. This is the point of view of the lender, yung nagpapahiram ng pera. Interest ang tawag sa sobrang pera na matatanggap ng nagpahiram. For instance, kanina I gave an example of you borrowing 1,000 pesos to your friend and I said you pay back 1,500 pesos. Let's say I am your friend who lend you the money. Yung 500 pesos na sobra sa hiniram mo sa akin ay ang interest ng pinahiram ko sa'yo. Since hiram yung pera, of course, there's an interest. Yun yung profit na marireceive ng any lenders or investors. The interest is the profit, kumbaga. Next to remember, the third one, the principal. The original sum committed to the purchase of assets you invested and etc. according to Investopedia. Ibig sabihin, the exact amount of money that I am going to invest in a company is what we called the principal. Example, I invested 50,000 pesos, then that literal 50,000 pesos is the principal. Exactly. Fourth, the interest rate. This indicates the cost or return of the amount of money you borrowed or lending by percentage, according to Eurosystem. Remember the interest that I have explained a while ago? This is also the interest of the money you borrowed or you are investing, but it's percentage. For instance, nag-invest ako ng pera sa isang company worth of 50,000 pesos and we've discussed about having 10% interest on my money. So yung 10% na iyon ang tinatawag nating interest rate. Always remember that interest rate can be identified as percentage. So 10% interest rate of 50,000 pesos will be 5,000 interest. Lastly, the time. The measured or measurable period during which an action, process, or condition exists or continues by Merriam-Webster. Ito naman yung segundo, minuto, oras, araw, weeks, month, months or years ng pag-invest mo ng pera or paghiram mo ng pera. For example, I am investing money starting today till April. For example, I'm sorry, I am investing money starting today till April of 2022. Then that exact date is the time. So those are the key points to remember in this topic. Let us proceed. In this investment problem, we have three categories or subtopics to encounter and to explain. The first one is the simple interest. This is the interest of the original investment. Second, the compound interest. This is when the interest you earn on a balance in an investing account is reinvested. By this, you earn more interest. For example, nag-invest ka, then after a year, nagkaroon na ng first interest. And imbes na kunin mo ulit, you invest it again. So, ang mangyayari, yung original investment mo with interest, nagkaroon na rin ng another interest. And the third is the continuously compound interest, from the word itself continuously, meaning your investment keeps earning an interest. These three are all parts of investing money. However, take note, I won't only focus on how to solve or get the interest of investments, but also the principal and the other components of investment. To begin solving the investment problem, we have the formulas for each subtopics or categories. First, the formula of simple interest. I stands for interest equals P stands for principal or initial value multiplied by R stands for interest rate multiplied by T stands for time in years. So I is equal to P times R times T. That is the formula of simple interest. Next, the formula of compound interest. A stands for future value equals P stands for principal or initial value multiplied by 1, a constant number, plus R stands for interest rate divided by N stands for number of times compounded in time to the power of N, and T stands for time. So the formula of compound interest is A equals to P times 1 plus R over N to the power of N and T. The third one is the formula of the continuously compounded interest. A stands for future value equals P stands for principal or initial value. E is a mathematical constant E, so meaning cannot be unchanged or cannot be changed rather. R stands for interest rate and T stands for time. So this is the continuously compounded interest formula. In addition, the small letter E is named as Euler's number, the Swiss mathematician. So E, you read it as Euler's number. Now, let us proceed on the examples. But before that, I am encouraging you all to have your own scientific calculator with you para makasabay kayo sa akin at hindi malito. Examples of simple interest. Number 1. Saudi put 1,000 pesos into an investment yielding with 6% annual interest. He left the money in 2 years. How much interest could he get at the end of those years? First, to solve the problem, we need to understand the question thoroughly for us to identify what kind of formula or what formula to use. Since given naman din dito na this is a simple interest example, so meaning formula ng simple interest ang gagamitin natin. Another thing is, makikita sa question na interest ang hinahanap. How much interest? Second, write down the formula to use para may guide tayo in the process of solving the problem. So we write, I equals P R T. which is I stands for interest, P for principal, R for interest rate, and T for time. Since ang hinahanap natin is interest, ito yung magagamit natin. Third, write down the given facts seen on the example. Meaning, yung mga value ng formula na nabanggit sa example, isa-isahin natin. Interest ang hinahanap natin, so we put I equals question mark. Since siya yung hinahanap natin, ang principal ay yung amount ng pera na ininvest ni Saudi, which is 1,000 pesos. So, P equals 1,000 pesos. Ang interest rate ay yung annual interest na nabanggit sa pag-invest ni Saudi, which is 6%. But, this is an important note. Kailangan mo munang i-convert ang percentage ng interest rate into decimal para magamit mo ito sa formula. There would be an error or hindi mo makukuha ang exact answer to the question of if you'll use this percentage. To put it simply, to solve the interest, any percentage should be converted. So since ang interest rate na nabanggit sa problem is 6%, so we need to convert it into decimal. So 6%, by converting, divide it to 100. So 6 divide 100 is 0.06. So ang interest rate natin is R equals 0. Oops, I'm sorry. 0.6. Next, ang time natin, makikita naman din, is 2 years. So, 2. So, in this, nakuha na natin ang formula na nagagamitin natin and the given facts or values na makakatulong sa atin sa pag-solve ng problem. Now, after we get the formula and all the given facts and the example, we can now start the solution or solving the example. First, write down again the formula, which is I equals P R. It's R. I'm sorry. Second, substitute all the given facts to the formula. So, copy the I since siya ang hinahanap natin equals, ang P natin is 1,000. So, open parentheses, we put 1,000. Then, ang interest rate natin or the R is 0.06. And our time is 2. Third, multiply all the values. So, isahang multiply lang. 1,000 times 0.06 times 2 is equal to 120. Thus, Saudi could get 120% pesos interest in 2 years. So we solve the example number 1 of simple interest. Number 2 example. Zohani invested 25,000 pesos at VHRV company and received 32,000 pesos interest after 3 years. What had been the interest rate? Understand the question thoroughly and identify the formula to use. Here, in the second question, the value of the interest rate is being asked. But ganun pa rin, formula pa rin ng simple interest ang gagamitin natin because we are only asked to find one value, the interest rate. First, write down the formula, which is I equals P R, the formula of simple interest, and T. Second, write down the given facts or given values of the formula. So we write I equals P equals R equals T equals. Our principal is 25,000 pesos. So we write 25,000 then ang rate or the interest rate ang hinahanap natin, so we put question mark, and ang time natin is 3 years. Now, bakit ko hinuli ang interest? It is because, in this case, kailangan muna natin isubtract ang given interest to the principal para makuha natin ang exact amount ng interest, since ang interest na sinasabi ay yung tubo lang ng ininvest mo na pera. So, 32,000 ang given interest, which can be seen in the given problem, minus 25,000 the principal. So 32,000 minus 25,000 is equal to 7,000. So, ang kalalabasan, ang interest natin is 7,000. Now we get the formula to use and the given facts or values that would help us to solve the given problem. Let us proceed. After the given facts, let's start to solve. First, write down again the formula, which is I equals P R T. Second, substitute all the given values to the formula. So kanina, we have I as 7,000 equals P, the principal, which is 25,000, then since R ang hinahanap natin, which is copy R, then ang T natin or time is 3 years. Third, multiply the variable R to 3. So, copy muna natin ang 7,000. Step by step process ang kailangan nating ang kailangan kong ipakita sa inyo para mas madali na siyang maintindihan, hindi value sa memory ninyo. And we copy also the 25,000. Then we multiply R to 3. So we have R times 3 is 3R. Next, we copy again the 7,000 equals, then 25,000 multiply by 3R. So we get 75,000 R. Or the interest rate. Next, in continuation of this solution, we have 7,000 equals 75,000 R. So to proceed to the solution, we need to divide both sides by 75,000. Para rin ang matira na lang is yung R or the interest rate. That would lead us to get the final answer. So, divide both sides by 75,000. We put 75,000 here and also here. Next, we cancel this one since 75,000 divided 75,000 is 1. So, magiging invisible na rin lang siya. And parehas or sa ibang rason is pareha naman din sila ng value. So, ang natira na lang sa atin is 7,000 over 75,000 equals R. So, we divide 7,000 to 75,000 and we get 0.093 equals R. So, this 0.093, marami pa siyang kasama, mahaba siya, but we only get the 3 digits after the decimal point. And if ma-round off siya, then round it off. If hindi naman, then don't round off. Now, for the final answer, since interest rate ang hinahanap, convert a 0.093 to percent by multiplying it to 100. So 0.093 times 100 is 9.3. 9.3%. Thus, 9.3% is the interest rate in Zohani's investment. That is the final and real answer. I hope you all understood the process of solving a simple interest problem. Let us proceed. Examples of compound interest. Number 1. An investment earns 3% compounded monthly. Find the value of an initial investment of 5,000 pesos after 6 years. To give you a brief note, you can identify a compound interest problem by finding the key terms to remember in compound interest problem. That is compounded daily, compounded monthly, compounded quarterly, compounded semi-annually, compounded annually, and etc. As long as there is a compounded seen on the problem. Now, let's proceed to the given problem. First, understand the problem thoroughly and identify the formula to use. In this, we need to solve for initial investment after 6 years, meaning the future value since after is stated. So the formula to use is the formula of compound interest to solve the problem. So we have A equals B times 1 plus R over N close parenthesis to the power of N and T. A stands for the future value, P for principal, 1 is the constant number and the formula of compound interest, R is the interest rate. N is the number of times compounded in one time or 1 year. Then T is time. Second, write down the given facts or values seen on the problem. So we have A, but since this is since A or the future value is to be found, we put question mark. P, our principal is 5,000 pesos. R, or the interest rate, so 3% converted to decimal, 3 divided 100 is 0.03. So our interest rate is 0.03. And we get N by identifying the compound seen in the given problem. So makikita natin na may compounded monthly. So meaning monthly. So we have 12 months in 1 year. So our N is the 12. Then time is 6. 6 years. Okay, so we get the formula and the given facts or values. Let us now proceed to the solution. First, write down again the formula, which is A equals P, open parenthesis 1 plus R over N, close parenthesis to the power of N, and T. Second, substitute all the values to the formula. So, since A ang hinahanap natin, we just copy A equals our interest is 5,000. So, we put 5,000 here. Then, open parenthesis, copy 1, plus sign. Our interest rate is 0.03. So, I put 0.03 over our N is 12. So, I put 12. Close parenthesis to the power of 12 for N. And our time is 6 years. So 6. You can use PEMDAS as your guide on solving this problem, but it is up to you. Third, multiply the exponents, which is the 12 and 6. So 12 times 6 is 72. So we copy the rest, equals 5,000. Open parenthesis 1 plus 0 point, then 12, and 12 times 6 is 72, so we put 72 here. Fourth, add and divide the values inside the parentheses. 1 plus 0.03 divide 12, or 0.03 divide 12 plus 1. So we get equals 5,000 open parenthesis 1.0025 close parenthesis to the power of 72. Fifth, solve 1.0025 to the power of 72. So equals 5,000 open parenthesis, 1.0025 to the power of 72 would give us 1.19694 84 and 68. Next, equals, multiply 5,000 to 1.196948468, that is equal to 5984 point 5984.74. Thus, the future value or initial investment after 6 years will be 5,984.74 pesos. This is the final answer. Number 2 example. Mrs. Jefferson purchased an antique statue for 22,000 pesos. 10 years later, she sold the statue for 37,000 pesos. If the statue is viewed as an investment, what annual rate did she earn? In this problem, we need to find the annual rate or the interest rate. Understand the problem thoroughly and identify what formula to use. We will use the formula of compound interest. So we write A equals P, open parenthesis 1 plus R over N, close parenthesis N, then and T. Identify and write down the given facts or values seen in the problem. So, the value of our letter A or the future value is the 37,000 pesos since before the number it is stated there that 10 years later she sold the statue for 37,000 pesos. So, ibig sabihin, ang future value is 37,000 pesos. So, we put A equals 37,000 pesos. And P, the principal, we have 22,000 pesos. The R is the interest rate that we need to find, so we put question mark. N, the number of times. Since it is annual rate, so means annual 1. Annual means 1 rather. Then our time is 10 years. Now we have the formula and given facts or values to use in the solution. Write down first the formula to use in the solution, which is A equals 2, P rather, P, open parenthesis 1 plus R over N to the power of N and T. Second, substitute all the given values to the formula. For A, we have 37,000 equals P, we have 22,000 open parenthesis 1 plus We put R here since yan yung hinanap natin. Our N is 1. Our T or time is 10 years. So, ang susunod natin gagawin or this particular section, kung mapapansin, okay, to proceed to the next step of the solution, we copy again 37,000 equals 22,000, open parenthesis 1 plus. So as you can see, R over 1 can be viewed as only R. So we will use that. Then 1 times 10 is 10. Next, to remove the 22,000, that is to proceed to the next step of the solution, we need to divide both sides by 22,000. So we put 22,000 here, and on the other side, 22,000. We cancel this out since pareho sila ng value, and kahit i-divide mo sila is 1 pa rin na maging resulta and maging invisible pa rin siya. So ang natira na lang sa atin is 37,000 over 22,000 equals 1 plus R to the power of 10. So we need to simplify the 37,000 over 22,000. So the simplest form of 37,000 over 22,000 is 37 over 22. And we copy 1 plus R to the power of 10. Next, take the left hand side to the 1 over 10 power to clear the power of 10 on the right. So, matatanggal to siya because we use 1 over 10 power and we put here exponent of 1 over 10. So we have 37 over 22 to the power of 1 over 10 equals 1 plus R. Now, if you have your scientific calculator with you, you can now solve 37 over 22 to the power of 1 over 10. And it equals to 1.0534. And we copy equals 1 plus R. Next, to proceed in the solution, we need to transpose this one, or we need to transpose this one. So from the positive, it becomes negative. Remember that when transposing a number or a variable, the positive becomes negative, the negative becomes positive. So we have 1.0534 minus 1, since we transpose it to the other side, equals R. So 1.0534 minus 1, we have 0.0534 equals R, or the interest rate. So to get the final percentage of the interest rate, we need to convert this decimal to percentage by multiplying to 100. So 0.0534 times 100 would give us 5.34% as the interest rate of the given problem. So this is the final answer. Thus, Mrs. Jefferson earned an annual rate of 5.34%. Next one, we have the examples for continuously compounded interest. Number 1 example. If Armina invests 1,000 pesos at an annual interest rate of 5% compounded continuously, how much money can she have in her account after 5 years? So same process pa rin. Understand thoroughly the problem and find or identify the formula to use. So in this problem, we would use the formula of continuously compounded interest. So we put A over B, E, which is the Euler's number, to the power of R, and T. Next, written down the given facts or values seen on the given problem. So for A, since siya ang hinahanap natin, the money she can have in our account after 5 years, so the future value, so we put question mark to A since hinahanap pa siya. Then ang P natin or the principal is 1,000 pesos. Ang E natin or the Euler's number is a constant, so hindi na siya mapapalitan. So I'll put na lang dito constant. And R stands for the interest rate. So since ang interest rate natin na nabanggit is 5%, so we need to divide it to 100% to convert it to decimal point. So 5 divided 100 is 0.05. And our time is 5 years. With this, we now have the formula and the given facts or values to use in the solution. So to start with, write down again the formula to use, which is A equals B E to the power of R and T. Then next, substitute all the given values to the formula. So copy A equals B is for 1,000, E is constant, so we just put it here. R is 0.05. Then time is 5 years. Next, multiply the exponents. So we copy 1,000E or 1,000 Euler's number. 0.05 multiplied by 5 or 0.05 times 5 is 0.25. Let me arrange my point. 0.25. So, if meron kayong calculator or particularly a scientific calculator, makikita niyo yung Euler's number within the calculator. So, dito sa case ng continuously compounded interest, kailangan talaga natin ng scientific calculator to involve the letter E or the Euler's number. So, 1,000 E or 1,000 Euler's number to the power of 0.25 would give us 1,284.03. So this is the final answer. Thus, Armina can have 1,284.03 in her account after 5 years. Next example. Example number 2. If Rito invests 20,000 at an annual interest rate of 1% compounded continuously, how much money can he have in his account after 20 years? So first, we need to understand the problem thoroughly and identify the formula to use. So with this, we will use the continuously compound interest formula. So we have A is equals to P Euler's number to the power of R and T. Next, identify all the given facts or given values seen in the problem. So A pa rin ang hinahanap natin or the future value. So we put question mark. For the principal, we have 20,000 pesos. For the then E constant, cannot be changed. Then the interest rate is 1%, so we need to divide it to 100 to convert it into decimal. So R, or the interest rate, is 1 times 1 divide 100 rather would give us 0.01. And our time is 20 years. So now we have the formula and the given facts or values to help us solve the given problem. First, in the solution, write down again the formula to use, which is A equals P Euler's number to the power of R and T. Second, substitute all the given values or facts to formula. So copy A. P is 20,000. Then E to the power of 0.01 for the interest rate, and our time is 20 years. Next, multiply the exponents. So we copy again to 20,000 Euler's number. So 0.01 times 20 is 0.2. Next, use your scientific calculator to get the exact amount of answer or exact number of answers. So 20,000 Euler's number to the power of 0.2 would give us 24,428 over, this is 8, I'm sorry, over 0.6. So this is the final answer. Thus, Rita can have 24,428.06 in his account after 20 years. That is the last example for today's lesson. I hope you all understand, or if you have any questions, clarifications, or any comments that you want to be acknowledged, just private chat me on Messenger so that I can acknowledge your concerns. I am always free to acknowledge any concern coming from you. To end this discussion, to end this class, I have here the activity, the problem solving. One for simple interest, one for compound interest, and another one for continuously compound interest. Each of these worth of 5 points. You need to add on your answer the formula to use, the given facts or values, and the solution, step-by-step solution. Number 1, a total of 50,000 pesos is invested at a simple interest rate of 6% for 7 years. How much interest is earned on this investment? To give you a preview in this for the number 1 activity, you need to find the interest of an investment. So this is the activity for simple interest. Number 2, Mr. Z makes an initial investment of 5,000 pesos for a period of 3 years. Find the value of the investment after the 3 years if the investment earns the return of 10% compounded monthly. So in the second activity is the activity of compound interest. So in this, you need to solve or you need to find the value of the future value, the initial investment. Number 3, if you invest 2,000 pesos at an annual interest rate of 13% compounded continuously, calculate the final amount you will have in the account after 20 years. So number 3 is the activity for continuously compound interest. So in this activity, the number 3, you need to find the value or you need to solve the value for future value after 20 years. So you may pass this activity, you may pass your answers on this activity on the next meeting. So I hope you all understand today's lesson. And again, if you have any questions or clarifications, you can directly chat me on Messenger. Again, I am Nurhana Dalinding, your reporter for today's lesson. Thank you.